I think we're about ready. Okay, everybody. Thank you to all the students for joining us for our 11:30 session as part of our Zoom into Careers presentation today. We're happy to be joined by Troy Wiggins and Virginia Carr. They are with the collective BluePrint, and they are going to tell everybody a little bit about who they are and what they do, positions that they typically have available or currently have available, and then they'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. Feel free to type those in the Q&A box at any point during the presentation, and then we will read those out towards the end. So Troy, Virginia, feel free to take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in here. We're excited to talk with all of you. As he mentioned, I am Virginia Carr. I am project coordinator at the collective BluePrint, and I'm here with my colleague Troy.
Hey everybody, my name is Troy Wiggins. I'm the program manager at the collective BluePrint. I'm excited to be talking with you all today.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about two current positions we have available or open that are really great for graduating college seniors. So hopefully this is really relevant to all of you. I'll start by just kind of talking about who we are and what we do at the collective. So the collective BluePrint is a nonprofit organization that strives to eliminate barriers to and create new avenues toward economic self-sufficiency for young adults in Memphis. I'll get into kind of what exactly that means, but basically our model for our work is we establish career pathways for young adults. We advocate for equitable policies and programs for young adults in the city. And through these efforts, we are really trying to bring about systemic change for young adults in Memphis. So most of this work happens through our year-long Leaders program, which is our kind of flagship program that Troy manages and leads. It starts with a 2-month intensive where we have 50 young adults come through the door who are between the ages of 18 and 30, who live in Memphis, who in the kind of criteria we look for this program are that they've been out of work or out of school in the last year. So we're really targeting people who may be termed opportunity youth. If you've heard that phrase before, that's kind of the population we work with. So people who are really looking for an opportunity, who maybe haven't worked in a while or who haven't been able to find a job that suits kind of what they're looking for, or who want to go back to school, kind of targeting and recruiting people in that boat. So after we recruit, the year-long program starts with a 2-month intensive where we are with our young adults every day. We call them leaders. Once you're in the program, you are a leader. And during that time, we're really working on soft skill development, personal and professional development. We do a lot of self-exploration about, what have you always dreamed for your life? What's your career goal? And what is it going to take to get you there? And then the kind of key feature of our program is we work with young adults to get into post-secondary school. So we're talking about community colleges and trade schools in the area. We partner with programs that are about a year or less in length so that our young adults can get in and get out and get their certification and go to work basically and start earning the money they want. And so with those post-secondary certifications, we partner with local community colleges and trade schools. Now, some of you may have heard of Tech 901, More Tech, Southwest Community College. Those are our key partners. And Troy will get into in a little bit kind of our partnership work and how that fits in with the roles we're talking about today. But yeah, so our young adults head into their certification programs after that 2-month intensive. And then on the back end, and while they're in school, we're working really hard to make sure that they are career ready and have all the tools and support they need to enter the job market and the career field totally prepared and ready to go. Some things that make us really unique and I think makes the work we do really, really awesome is we not only provide all this support with soft skill development, resume building, just professional skills, personal growth. We also provide a stipend every month for our young adults to help offset the time and the investment that they're making in themselves. We want to invest in them as well. And so all of our leaders get $400 a month, which is really cool. And we also provide a lot of mental health support around trauma and just kind of healing and wraparound mental health support as well. So that's something I think is really, really interesting about what we do. So now I want to transition to talk a little bit about how are the roles we're here to talk about today fit into all of this. Here we go. Okay, so we're here to talk to you today about AmeriCorps Vista. So we have 2 AmeriCorps Vista roles open at our organization. So I want to talk a little bit about what Vista is, and then Troy will talk more about kind of what the specific roles entail and what you would be applying for if you want to apply for these roles. So AmeriCorps Vista is through the government, and it is a 1-year full-time commitment where you are placed in a nonprofit organization like us, and you are primarily focusing on capacity building roles. So it's working on building systems, maybe database work, building out programs, that sort of stuff, as opposed to like direct service. So it's not a direct service role where like you'd be working at a food bank handing out food or something. It's kind of behind the scenes building out the systems and programs that organizations need. CNCS, the organization that runs Vista nationally, provides a living allowance, which is your kind of salary. And then we as the organization get to offer incentives on top of that, which are meant to kind of help you make it through that year and cover other expenses in your life. So for us, that means really generous rent assistance, monthly gas cards, grocery cards. Our goal is to cover all of the expenses that living allowance from CNCS may not. And we can talk a little bit more about that at the end if people have questions. And I also wanted to mention that if you're working through Vista, for those of you who may not be familiar with Vista, you're not a permanent employee of the collective BluePrint. You're paid and technically employed and receive benefits through AmeriCorps and through CNCS. And we can give you links and more information to find out kind of the details of all of that, but that I wanted to let everybody know that up front, and that's kind of how this works. So where you would fit in our organization, we have 2 Vista positions open. One is a community engagement Vista, one is an alumni engagement Vista. Troy will dive into what that means and where those fit, but I just wanted to kind of frame this up by saying that they're really, really cool roles, especially for people coming right out of college. These are great learning experience roles. And I wanted to add kind of a personal anecdote too. I began working at the Collective BluePrint the summer after I graduated from college, and I started as a summer intern. And my experience has just been kind of a testament to this organization's passion and our leadership's ability to really grow and develop employees. So even if you're starting as kind of this entry level, coming into the organization straight from college, maybe it's a great place to learn about the nonprofit field, to learn about community work, community organizing, if that's something you're interested in. These are really great roles for that type of thing. So I'm going to hand it over to Troy now to kind of dive into what these roles mean and what these titles are.
Thank you, Virginia. Again, my name is Troy Wiggins. I'm the program manager at the Collective BluePrint. I'm really excited to be talking to you all today and really excited to answer any questions you have. So please do not be shy. If you have questions about the role, if you have questions about the organization, if you have questions about anything pertaining to anything we say on this call today, please send them through. Or if you don't get a chance to send them through during this time, send them after and we'll be happy to answer them. So I'll be talking to you very quickly about the 2 roles we have available, the Community Engagement Vista role and the Alumni Engagement Vista role. And both of these roles are tied to the Collective BluePrint's programming. And so I will be your direct manager for these roles and for the work you're doing within these roles. So I'll start with the Community Engagement Vista, and then I'll talk later or next about the Alumni Engagement Vista, and talk just a little bit about responsibilities in this role and the kind of person and the kind of skill set that might be good to apply for one of these roles with us. And before I get too deep into this, I want to share with you all that they're doing construction outside of my house. Outside of my home office. It just started happening today, like literally in the last hour. So you might hear some drilling and some hammering and sawing. That's not something that I could control. So I just wanted to let you all know in case you heard it. I'm not like building something, somebody else. So to get right into it, the Community Engagement Vista will be working with us to build connections with local resource providers and community partners. The Collective Blueprint has some already existing partnerships with community partners that we leverage to serve our young adults and to get them connected to resources they might need during their time with us and after their time with us. So in this role, whichever candidates apply for and ultimately receive this role will be responsible for assisting me and our leadership team in managing and finding community resource providers and community partners to continue that work. This role, again, is capacity building, as Virginia said. So you will have some responsibility for managing the partner relationships between us and community partners, but a lot of your work will be behind the scenes building the systems and the processes that we use to vet, research, perform outreach, create agreements with, and track our relationships with these partners. So you'll be doing a lot of research, talking to existing staff, talking to leaders and interviewing leaders about partnerships that they need, and creating the agreements that we use with these partners and tracking who we've talked to and determining and assisting the leadership team and myself in determining whether these partnerships will be a good fit for the Collective Blueprint. You'll also be responsible for tracking the connections that we already have, determining whether those connections are worth our time to continue or whether we should perhaps explore other kinds of partnerships, and drafting criteria and giving guidance on potential new partnerships that we need to explore. So this position will really be focused on deepening our relationship with our community, making sure we have the right partners in place to do the work we need to do, and making sure that those partnerships are fruitful both for us and for whoever we ultimately decide to partner with based on your guidance. So this role will be good for somebody who wants to gain experience, already has a bit of experience in community organizing. You have to do a lot of conversation and meeting and updating with community partners. You'd have to kind of know or be able to quickly learn the landscape that we operate in to determine which kind of community partners will be good for us. You also need to have some conversations with both people on our staff and our leaders to determine which community partners would be best for us to pursue relationships with. And that just requires a little bit of organizing skill, a little bit of community development skill that you can learn in this role, or you can come to the table with already. Additional skills that you need for this are, I would think, a high level organization, because there'd be some tracking, there'd be some developing of draft agreements, memorandums of understanding, and things like that you need to keep track of and that we need to keep track of to make sure these partnerships are beneficial for both us and the organization. You also need to have some skill with people. That doesn't mean you have to be like an extrovert or anything, but there will be some time where you'll be required to like meet with people and have conversations with people, sometimes with me, sometimes without me. And just having the skill to be able to have those conversations and to go into meetings and have good results and have good conversations with people is going to be a plus for this, okay? So again, if you have any questions about that or you want any clarification on anything I've said, feel free to just shoot us a question. But if and there aren't any, because there are questions, but I'm going to move on now to the alumni engagement Vista position. Yeah, so Virginia, click that for me, please. Thank you.
Oh, wait, hold on. Skipped it. There we go.
All good. And so the alumni engagement Vista position is a little different. The first position was focused more on creating relationships outside of the organization with organizations that can support us. This role really is focused on engaging and creating frameworks for leaders who have already completed our leaders program and might have moved on to whatever work or educational experience that they're doing, but making sure that they stay engaged and involved with the Collective Blueprint. And also creating a structure by which they can give us feedback and help us strategize on things that will be useful for current leaders. So your responsibilities here would be creating a framework for an alumni program and a young adult advisory council, including structure and goals for each. And part of that work is that some of this stuff has already been thought about. So you'd have some responsibility for researching what's already been done, determining what might work and what might not, and using that information to then build out versions of these programming items that we can use going forward. You'd also be responsible for designing tools and structures for engaging and communicating with alumni. This includes creating events that we use to engage with alumni. So the Leaders Program does have events that current leaders, or leaders who are currently engaged in that programming attend, but you would also be responsible for creating similar types of events for us to engage alumni. You'd also be responsible for helping us figure out how to track alumni data. So creating tools and structures for that. The other part of this work is the Young Adult Advisory Council. And again, some of that work has already been built out, but you'd be mostly responsible for designing the process and the roles for the Advisory Council, and proposing a plan for us to actually implement this council following the year of your term of service with us. So for this role, you need a lot of kind of complementary skills. This is the first one. You need a little bit of organizing skill. So if you wanted to be an organizer or work in an organizing fashion, you would find that this role will be helpful for that. You'd also need to be pretty well organized because you're creating and managing structures that we'll be using with alumni who we'll have to get connected. We'll have to reconnect with in some cases. And you'll also, I think, benefit from having some research skill because some of these processes and some of these structures are already built, and you have to kind of look through what has already been determined or already been created to determine what might need to exist or what we might need to move forward with. And so having some research skill and a strategic mindset will help with that as well. But I'm confident that there are people on this call who are watching this that have those skill sets. And so I invite you to please apply for these positions. Let us know that you're interested and tell us about your skills and your abilities so we can talk with you and learn more about how you might help us out. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Virginia to give us some more information and lead us toward closing this out.
Yeah, that was great, Troy. Thank you. I think thorough descriptions. I was just going to add a couple of notes on, so thinking about the Community Engagement Vista, I wanted to point out one really exciting opportunity with this one that's kind of built into all of this is you would, as the Community Engagement Vista, have a pretty major role to play in our recruitment process. So we use a lot of community partners to actually connect with the young adults who end up coming into our program. And so that's just a really neat opportunity to think about how we reach young adults, where they are, and how we, advertise our program to sound exciting and to meet their needs and what they're looking for. And as this Vista, you would have a pretty big hand in that process and in doing that outreach, which can be really, really engaging and fun. I've had the opportunity to be involved with recruitment a couple times, and it's one of the most interesting and fun parts of what we do. So that's a note there. And then I just wanted to add, and Troy touched on this, but when it comes to kind of the framework for an alumni program and the advisory council, I think this role has a lot of opportunity for someone who's really creative or someone who's really interested in creating something new, because these are projects, talking about the alumni program and the advisory council. These are aspects of our program that we have wanted to implement for going on 3 years now, that we've kind of maybe tried some things and decided what might work, what might not work, but we haven't had anyone yet that has been able to kind of take this to the next level and really focus on it in a clear way. And so that's what this role is for. And so there's a lot of opportunity for creativity there and kind of collaboration, which I think is really cool. So just wanted to add that. But with that, the next thing I wanted to cover was just how to apply for these, because it's a little bit different than just submitting an application for a normal job, like straight to the employer might be. So you have to go through AmeriCorps to actually submit an application. It's a fairly simple process. You just go to this website, myamericorps.gov, and create an account. You'll be prompted to create an application. It's kind of like filling out a resume almost. You would import some of your pieces of your resume. You write a motivational statement. It's like a paragraph long. You insert some references, but it'll guide you through that whole process. But you have to create that application in myamericorps.gov. And then you search for these positions in the collective blueprint. You search for those roles within that AmeriCorps system. And then you can actually apply that way. And we'll receive the applications through the AmeriCorps system, and that's how we'll see. I also just wanted to add that if you are at all interested in these, if these sound exciting to you, I really encourage you to apply as soon as possible. So we're moving quickly on this, and we're interviewing people every week, and we have a couple weeks left to continue to interview people. And so if you're interested at all, I would really encourage you to apply this week, so that we can get to know you a little bit and get you in for a phone interview first. So, and if you have any questions, we're about to answer questions, but also wanted to add that, keep forgetting my buttons don't work. There we go. Here is my email address. You feel free to, we're going to answer questions now, but if you run into problems in the application process or in any of this, you can shoot me an email anytime, and I'll be happy to help as I can. So with that, I think that concludes our presentation, and we're happy to kind of talk and answer any questions people have at this point.
All right, fantastic. Well, we've got 3 or 4 minutes left, so we do have a couple of questions. Somebody asked about applications, but I think we answered that. And the next question is, some students are looking to gain experience, even if they're not paid this summer, such as the undergraduate students. Do you also accept volunteers or interns?
We do occasionally have interns. All of our interns are paid. It's not, we don't have like kind of an open application for that, but that's something, again, that if you're really interested in kind of a shorter term experience, feel free to email me, and I can pass that on to our leadership, and we kind of do internships on a kind of case by case basis. So it's something we've done in the past, and I think we're open to doing again. So good question.
Okay. What is the length of the VISTA program, and when does it start? Is it roughly over the course of a school year, or does it start during the summer, or what's the time frame? That's another question.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of mentioning. So our start date for these VISTA roles is June 8th, I believe. The first
June 8th.
I think it's June 8th.
Yeah.
And so this is moving quickly, and it's exactly 1 year of service.
Right. Any other questions out there from the students? Feel free to type them into the Q&A box if you have any at this time. Already a few seconds to type.
Hello. Hello, how are you all doing?
Good.
Oh, Alicia jumped in early. Okay. Alicia's taking over for me at 12.
Gotcha.
Okay. Here's just kind of a general question. What's an average day like for both of you at the Collective BluePrint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll jump on that one. So it's real interesting. Right now, as you all know, we are kind of separated from each other because we want to stay safe and not expose each other to COVID-19. So right now we're working from home, and our days are spent kind of split between, well, my day is split between managing my small team. So I have a small programs team that I am responsible for managing, who are currently working on adjusting our programming to support our current leaders as their schools and work experiences shift to online learning. And so we spend a lot of time creating support structures, creating online spaces for our leaders to get academic support. And we also spend time coordinating, connecting our leaders to whatever kinds of resources they need to be safe and healthy. So if that looks like housing support or rent assistance, utility assistance, food assistance. One of my big projects right now is a lot of our leaders are in their certification programs, and it's exam time, even though we are not in schools face-to-face. And so coordinating getting laptops to our young adults so that they can participate effectively in their online classes is big for me. And outside of that, something I really dig about the Collective BluePrint is that we spend time in person, but especially now connecting to each other and learning from each other. So whenever we're not coordinating those pieces, we are touching base with each other around our work, but also having some huddle up time to just talk about various personal things and to share some moments of fun and silliness with each other. So the work is very important, and it happens very quickly, but we managed to get it done within the day. And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. I don't have much to add to that, but a point that I just always like to make about my role in particular at the Collective BluePrint is that, and this may appeal to some people more than others, but none of my days are alike. I mean, right now they're a little more like uniform because I'm working from home all the time and on my laptop, but especially when we're kind of in normal operating conditions, my days change. They're different all the time. So it's hardly ever boring. And I think that's because we're working with really kind of big systemic issues and things change a lot. We're working with, young adults who may be experiencing a range of challenges in their lives. And so every day is kind of a new challenge or something new to tackle. And my work is very project-based, so that's exciting too. I'm always getting to work on kind of new things and creating new aspects of our program or new systems. And that's something I like about it a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, we are just about at the end of our time for this session. So Virginia, Troy, thank you very much for sharing with us. And again, we will have these presentations available later for students to check out at a later date, or if they missed the presentation. And again, students, if you do have any questions, Virginia's email is on the screen. Feel free to shoot her an email later on. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining us. And we will start with our next presentation in just a few minutes. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.